Hi friends, welcome to English Study Point. In this video lecture, I am going to discuss with you about different forms of narration used by an African author in order to tell about his experiences. And first of all, I am trying to talk about heroic poetry as a form of art used by African authors in order to narrate their experiences. So when African author uses such kind of art forms in their works, they are trying to talk about their experiences in a continuous fashion, and this continuity creates a kind of lyrical rhythm. And these lyrical rhythms, author is trying to bring true emotions into a real form. And heroic poetry in this way involves unification of lyrics as well as images. So here images are not visual but are mental images, and meanings of these mental images are to be deciphered by readers who are reading experiences told by an author in a heroic poetry. And also, heroic poetry talks about fragmented history which is already scattered into pieces, and this is a kind of history in which we see there is lack of connection or absence of any kind of connection between society and its members, and still a poet is trying to create a possibility of rejoining this fragmented history by use of his imagination. So talks about fragmented history rejoined according to the poetic intentions of the part. And there is a creation of fantasy world, and in this fantasy world metaphorical connections are made between historical figures with that of animalistic features. So they are trying to merge realistic images with that of animal figures, and by yoking all these images all together, they are trying to create a metaphorical connection. And within this metaphorical context, hero is described. So hero is not described by an author in a direct way, means hero, his personalities are not described by an author in a direct manner but in a metaphorical context. So his personalities are to be described by an author in an indirect manner, and also in this metaphorical context his personalities are described as well as assessed. And there is a author is performing a dual activity, because here he is trying to refine history by discussing about this history in the present, and also at the same time this revised history shapes experiences for the people who are living in this contemporary scenario. So here author is performing a kind of dual activity. So in this process history is reprocessed and given new meaning within the context of contemporary experience. Again, we see that in South Africa there resides so many different kinds of tribes, and their mode of composition of heroic poetry is totally different from each other. So again we see that in Turag, which is a place in Western Africa, so people uses stringed instrument, and this stringed instrument accompanies creation of heroic poetry, and among them women are main composers. So these are all just examples I have mentioned only in order to let you know, and this information is not to be memorized by you, but I have only mentioned for the sake of your knowledge. I am not reading this, so you can see that these women composers uses this stringed instrument in order to compose heroic poetry. And while composing this heroic poetry, they think that it is a kind of, or it is a part of their cultural heritage. So they think that heroic poetry, or they take so much fun in composing this heroic poetry, is because it is a part of their cultural heritage. And another example is that of Yoruba bards. So they chant Ijala, singing of lineage, and with the Oriki saluting the notable people who died in the past. So these are all just examples which I have mentioned in order to let you know. Now we see that epic also is a kind of another form of art form used by an African author to narrate his experiences. So epic is a kind of merging of so many isolated genres all together in order to form a larger part of narrative. So it involves merging of various frequently unrelated tales, metaphors, riddles, lyric, proverbs, as well as heroic poetry. So you can see that these different genres are combined all together in order to form larger part of narrative. And epic also gives detailed description about one heroic figures that is central to this epic, and there is gradual revelation about his character also, about his personality also, and his personality also involves frailties, uncertainties, torments, deep troubles that he undergone all through his lifetime. And also it may also talks about what are the responsible factors that leads to his death. So every information which revolves around this heroic figure is told here in an epic. Then mythical transformation. So epic, in epic readers are also showcased this mythical transformation. So things are showcased through myths, and these myths are created by a creator who is composing this epic. And in this mythical transformation, gods as well as cultural heroes related to past are reproduced through acts. So they have been shown through acts, different kinds of acts, and their stories are told in a cyclical fashion, means in a continuous fashion. And tortured movements of the hero are also showcased in an epic. An epic builds around genealogical system. So here genealogical system means that it talks about hero's lineage, his descendants, who are his descendants. Everything is told here in this epic. Now here comes the turn of what epic contains. So epic contains so many historical references of historical place, historical names, as well as historical events. So these things are very important for reciting or composing epics. So historical references holds much importance, and this may involves historical places, names, as well as events. And they are not built around history but around a fictional tale. So they are not even though historical references are used, but they are not built around history, but due emphasis is given to a fictional tale. All these things means historical places, names, as well as events are showcased through fictional tale but not through history. Then epic combines, so epic combines history and imaginative story as well as myth, and myth gives emphasis on origin. So epic combines all these different genres, which includes history, imaginative story. Myths are also are part of this epic, and all these combine together to form a larger part of narrative. So, in any kind of epic, there is either historical or non-historical character. So, upon whom whole epic is based upon. So, either historical or non-historical character is center of any kind of epic, and uh, things which are at the heart of any kind of epic are riddles, lyrics, as well as proverbs. So a composer, while composing any kind of epic, he is trying to create complex riddles, lyrics, as well as proverbs in order to let us know about character, his personality. So everything is to be revealed about him by creating complex riddles as well as lyrics. Then we are come upon major point, that is role of myth in an epic. So what important role myths play in an epic? So myths, by creating myths, a composer is trying to reveal about character's personality, not in a direct fashion but in an indirect manner. So it tries to depict about psychology of the central character. So here psychology means personality of the central character, means what kind of different hardships he undergone through, and what kind of deeper troubles that he may faced in his lives, as well as it may also involves uncertainties as well as torments in his life, and also it includes possible factors that lead to his death. And myths also gives greater detail about characters personality. So he is given greater detail about his personality, and myths try to give deeper dimension. So things are not to be told in a direct fashion but in an indirect way. So in this way myths try to also give deeper dimension which are part of a central character's personality. And now here comes role of epic performer. So here epic performer tries to remember us great events which are related to past and also let us know turning points of cultural history. So what are the shifts that led to turn of cultural history? So, epic involves so many different kinds of elements. First one is central character, upon whom whole epic is based upon, and on the basis of a heroic character, imaginative tale is told through an epic, and he is also known to us by some other name, that is epic performer. He is a epic performer in a sense because he is leading readers to get to know about events related to history, and also led readers to equip with turning points that has been encountered in the history, and these turning points are the main cause which led to the start of new era. So these elements, all elements are showcased to the readers through ancient images of the culture in the form of myth as well as tale, and these all elements give events cultural sanction. So why cultural sanction? Because they are part of one cultural heritage, and no other culture can claim as their own. So that is why they are only restricted to one culture, and no other can culture can claim as their own. So in this sense there is written cultural sanction. And also it involves tales and myth creates an epic. So we see that tales as well as myths, they try to create an epic, and epic also includes inferences, means references from events related to history, and also contains magical supernatural atmosphere. For example, Malagasy epic Ebonia and Western African epic of Sunjata. Then what is importance of epic? So it brings momentous change in the society, because by getting equipped ourselves with the means people who are living in this present scenario, when they equip with the events related to past, they are able to refine themselves and also reshape their present. In this way it tries to bring momentous change in the society, and in Eponia brings major alterations in the relationship between men and women. So it is due to epic there is major alteration which can be shown through relations between men and women in Eponia. And in Sunjata and in the epic Mavindo of Nyaga people of Congo, there are major political changes. So these epic are used by South African people in their present, because these people while living in present they are able to seek questions which they have. So they are able to find answers of their questions from these epic, and able to modify themselves according to the things which are already mentioned here in this epic. So they are able to modify themselves, and they are able to shape themselves better. So in this way we see that there involves a lot many changes have been seen in Africa in this present scenario due to epic. We see here that there are so many different genres which are part of epic, and these different isolated genres are dominant in different parts of South Africa. That history and poetry is important in Sunjanta part of South Africa. Then heroic poetry and tale is important in Ebonia. Then tale and myth is dominant in Mavindo. Then what are the characteristics of epic? So epic alone cannot be made by historical references. So there are lot many other things which are included to form an epic, and they also, these things are yoked or combined all together in order to form a larger part of narrative. So not simply history exists as a separate genre. So not only history is responsible for creating or composing any kind of epic, it also involves other kind of genres such as history, tale, fact and fancy, world of reality and fantasy. They all are combined all together in order to form larger part of narrative. Then epic features. So there is a creation of revolutionary hero. Why he is a revolutionary hero? Because he is created by a composer who is living in this present scenario. So upon the basis of his imagination, he is creating a revolutionary hero which is totally different from the tradition, and yet he is living in this present scenario, but he also attached his roots with the past. So in this sense, he does not single a total break with the past, and in an epic, things are told in an continuous fashion. So we see there is a continuity in epic, and through this continuity, lyrical rhythm is created, and through this lyrical rhythm we are able to sense actual emotion or true emotion of any kind of experiences related to an African author. Then there is shift in the direction of society. Yes, through epic there is a change in the direction of the society. Means epic tries to change or direct society in a correct way, and compels African to return to the paradigm envisioned, means imagined by ancient cultural wisdom. So we see that these epic guides African people to return back to their ancient cultural roots, so that they are able to live according to the traditional values which are rooted to their culture. Then, what are the effects of creation of epic on an African author? So, by using or by creating, by using this art form which is epic, they are able to mythologize history, means convert history into a myth, and they are bring history to the essence of the culture. Means they are through epic, they are bringing history and letting us, means readers, know that history is conclusion of their culture, and gives history resonance of the ancient roots of the culture. Means they are trying to give history as a form of everlasting, means history which never dies, to the which is always being a part of their culture, and it is always attached to their ancient roots of their culture. Then it is expressed in, means epic is expressed in the form of myths, imaginative tales, by using so many metaphors as well as motives. And in heroic poetry, history is fragmented. Yes, in heroic poetry we see that history is fragmented, means scattered into pieces and made discontinuous, but in epic discontinuous images are given new form, that of the imaginative tale, because in epic everything is to be told by an imaginative tale. So here history is not fragmented, because so many genres are all together combined to form a history, and this history is not fragmented history, but it is clubbed history, into which so many genres are combined, and together combining of all these genres, there is also a creation of imaginative tale. Through that imaginative tale, a historic character is, means a heroic character is trying to recite epic based on the imagination of composer of an epic. Here we see what position history holds in an epic. So, if you assume that history alone is responsible for creating any kind of epic, so no, it is not that case. History is not a significant genre in epic. Means tale and myth, they organize images of history. So here we see that it is possible due to tale as well as myth. So these things are important to organize images of history and give those images their meaning. So give these historical images their meaning. So it is through tale as well as myths these historical images are given meaning. And history otherwise has no meaning. It achieves significance when it is juxtaposed with tales and myths. So when these historical images are juxtaposed in the form of tales and myths, only then history is given an importance. So in epic, history is given a form and a meaning and completeness that they do not actually have. So in epic, history actually do not hold any kind of position, because it is only given form and meaning or completeness by juxtaposing images of tales and various kinds of myths. Then imaginative environment revises history. Yes, through epic we are creating an imaginative tale. So in a way, epic is trying to create imaginative environment and then leading all the readers to revise history. And also in an epic they take historical experiences and place them into the context of the culture and gives them cultural meaning. It means that these historical experiences are become part of present scenario, and they are to be modified as well as again revised and provided new meaning or new version by people who are living in this present scenario. So otherwise history holds no importance in an epic.